Hello, this is Kelly Jennings with Apex Nutrition, and I'm going to try to start a new video series for my Monday Marketplace. For Monday Marketplace, I like to highlight something that you can find in the marketplace that can either help you with something I love or something I loathe. No middle ground, right? It's always love or loathe. Just kidding, but I'm going to bring those products to you to show you how I feel about them. So we're going to start off this time with a product that's somewhat new to me. It's organic edamame spaghetti, and they make this, I think, in all sorts of different noodle styles. But what this is, at first I was pretty leery of it. Okay, so first of all, what all is in it? You know, is it some kind of like weird concoction of all kinds of nasty ingredients? And also, like, does it taste good? Will it pass my kids' test? That sort of thing. And as you know, I go for light at night dinners. So I generally want to take out the carbs of most dinners, unless it's the night before a big training or a big race or something like that. Because that can really help you to stay lean to meet any weight goals. You don't really need carbs at night unless you have those things happening the next day because you're about to go to bed. And so to load up on carbs when your body isn't actively needing them and will store them is just not the right time to do it, in my opinion. And I have found great success with helping clients lose weight with this tactic to start, and sometimes this is the only tactic they need, is just to take most of those carbs out at dinner. So edamame or soybeans, they do have some carbs, but let me tell you what their carbs are like. Now this product, when you look at the ingredients, so that's always my first. I skip right over the nutrition label because that is manipulated. It's basically marketing at this point. The front of a box is all marketing. You can't believe anything about this, basically. They are trying to grab your attention and take your money, okay? So this is all marketing. So I skip right over that. You know, I might see the name, I might see it's organic, there's a few things that stand out, but we're gonna not believe them. We're gonna be highly suspicious of the front of the box always. You go to the ingredients, that's where you start. Now, if you're happy with the ingredients, we can move on to the nutrition label, but not until then. Because if I pick up a box of something like Who Knew cookies, where they're trying to sell me basically Oreo cookies that have all kinds of vitamins and minerals and fake fibers added into them, I'm gonna know by the ingredients that I don't like that long list of stuff trying to pass as a cookie, no matter what the nutrition label says. No matter if they've somehow gotten 5 grams of fiber in there, I'm going to look at where it's coming from and what else is coming along for the ride and what I'm eating before I care at all how much protein and carbs and fiber and that sort of thing, calories are in there. So we're going to start with the ingredients. It says organic edamame and water. So that basically passes into the first test. Organic edamame and water. That's it. That's all they've used to make these noodles. So they've basically smashed up edamame and water and put it together and dried it as noodles. All right, I'm in so far. And then, of course, for the nutrition labels, we're going to look at the carbs because, again, I'm mostly using this for dinners. 21 grams of carbs, and 11 of those are fiber. Now, when something is more than 5 grams of fiber, you can generally, you know, it was kind of the Atkins and the low-carb movements that started subtracting out and gave us the term net carbs, which sounds sort of hokey. But the truth is, as far as how blood sugars react to foods, higher fiber does reduce the blood sugar insulin reaction that we're trying to avoid at night. That's how that blood sugar gets stored, and that's also how it causes problems with blood sugar being in the arteries. So when there's more than 5 grams of fiber, you can pay attention to that. So generally I'll say, in my head you are kind of subtracting that out. So we're down to 10 grams of carbs, and that's within what I say is okay at night. Now this isn't going to be an every night, you know, but it does give you a way, even if you were using spaghetti squash or a different alternative for spaghetti, you are going to get some of these carbs, and they're not all bad. What we're trying to avoid are the overload of carbs at night. It also gives you 24 grams of protein. Now, a word about soy protein, because I'm asked this once I like a product that is soy-based. I'm often asked about this because, one, I've spoken out a little bit about the overconsumption of all soy protein in everything. So if soy is the basis for your milk and your yogurt, and there's soy protein added to your cereal and your oatmeal, and then you're eating soy here too, I'm going to say it's a little too much. We never want one protein source, and we don't especially want one that it has a significant amount of natural estrogens in it. You don't want to overload on that. But the occasion once every week or two isn't going to be harmful when your whole diet isn't based off that. The other thing I speak out even more than just like the estrogen in soy is soybean oil. Now the problem with soybean oil, the problem when you isolate any fat is that now you're worried about what type of fat you have and how it impacts your body. Omega-6s, while they're required in nutrition in our bodies, over-consuming them can do some harm because they are adversaries of omega-3s, and they change that pathway and steer it towards inflammation rather than anti-inflammation. And inflammation is involved in a lot of chronic diseases. We're not just talking about a sprained ankle and inflammation or a cut. We're talking about chronic diseases and diabetes and heart disease and obesity and all sorts of things. So we don't want a whole lot of soybean oil because it's one of the highest omega-6 oils and substances in our food supply. It's in everything. It is the super cheap oil that is in almost every commercial product. It's way cheaper, obviously, than something good like olive oil, and even cheaper than things like canola oil. And I will link in this, under this video, my whole post on oils and which ones to watch. But when you isolate something, you take away all the fiber that's around it, that's encapsulating it, and because those things slow down the digestion, don't just give it to your body. When you isolate an oil and put it in you where it has free reign to be digested completely, then we're worried about it. When it is in a product, especially if these were whole edamame beans, that's even better. But in a product like this, where it is just edamame and the water and it's been reconstituted, it's not the same. We're not dealing with apples and apples here, okay? Does that make sense? And I am not picky about everything that's isolated. Protein powders, we are going to look into that. Supplements, that is why you've got to be extra picky about supplements versus whole foods. And that's why supplements are supplemental to a diet and not the basis. So in that same way, all oils we are going to scrutinize and decide only a few really are acceptable to me, and soybean is definitely not one. But that does not discount that we can use edamame noodles. So the third test, we've skipped the marketing, we've looked at the ingredients, then we've decided if it's appropriate for me in my philosophy for dinner or not. And then the third is when I've served it. My kids devour this, and it's no surprise to me because they love edamame. But they devour it. The texture is fine. I've used quinoa noodles that I haven't been happy with and a few other things. Texture is fine, all sorts of protein, so I'm loving these. So I'd love your comments. I'd love your ideas for products that you like or loathe, because we're starting on a positive note, but don't be afraid, don't be surprised when my fangs come out for some of those products that I absolutely just makes me mad about their marketing and advertising for what kind of junk they're giving us. So that's where we're starting, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Take care.